when you said Egyptian Muslim with explosives, I think, well, it's not in this book, but this is every other terrorist that they manufactured, right? So Terror Factory inside the FBI's Manufactured War on Terrorism covers everything after 1993 World Trade Center bombing, which was Imad Salem, a military Egyptian Muslim officer who was paid by the FBI to create a terrorist attack. And then in the tape with his handler, FBI agent, special agent maybe, he's special, John Anticev, A-N-T-I-C-E-V, Anticev. There's a 24-minute tape where you can hear Imad Salem saying, you guys told me to use a fake bomb, but you gave me a real bomb, and what's up with that? And I want my expenses. He wants his hotel expenses and stuff.
It's like a form of punked. It's like, yeah, we're here right now. We said it was a fake bomb. Ashton, what do you got? It's like, dude, it's a real bomb. Watch this.
So when I hear a news event, if I don't know that they've already hired a Muslim Egyptian dude in the past to create terrorist events that they use to drum up the war on terror, I might believe, oh my God, like what's going on? We have to have more laws against anti-Semitism and protect people because they just killed a diplomat last week because I watch MSNBC and I don't know anything else.
Right.
They play their audiences as fools and they end up with foolish results, but we have to live amongst the people who are generating foolish results. So that
I don't think reparations has a chance in hell. But yeah, the Irish, there's that line from Blazing Saddles where they're like, yeah, we'll take the blacks and the Jews and the Chinese, but no Irish, So
hard to break. You can't really break because they're funny. Like Irish people, you can't really break because they're always like laughing about shit. Because to make a slave, you got to create victim consciousness. And if you're always like, oh, it's no big deal, buddy, like it just, they're a pain in the ass. You can't break them psychically. No. That's why Rome couldn't break them. England couldn't break them. Dude, they didn't really get broken until recently. They got broken by like gay shit and a lot of money. It's like you can't break Irish people with force. They think it's funny.
Didn't Charles Darwin say that that Irish people were the only race that could never evolve, that they were somehow lower than black people?
Is either him or Herbert Spencer? Yeah, one of those two.
Yeah, and Freud said that they were impervious to psychoanalysis. Like you can't break them. They're like the hobbits. They were the hobbits that were like, they're barefoot. They just love their second breakfast. And a lot of my family's like that. It's just like, I don't have that like greedy, crazy thing that I think is really easy to enslave people with.
She was the lady in Cincinnati who was feeding all of the parking meters to pay for everyone's parking. And it became a national story, but she's Irish and she was just like, to hell with you, I'm going to feed these if I want to. I'm going to help these people if I want to,
They developed an immune system against tyranny because of England for like 1,000 years. They're like, no, they're like, we know if you give an inch, they just keep going. That's that stubbornness. The Jews have that too, like the actual Jews, not like the war sodomy sneaks, like the big Victoria Nuland type, like the normal blue collar, I call them deli Jews. They don't budge. And it's like a superpower, the ones that know about actual pogroms, like the guys that are just like, making shoes and shit. They're just like, because they know if you start giving in, if you show weakness, that's when you end up in a pogrom.
Yeah, I did that story at InfoWars, probably 2013 or 14 about the Irish slaves in Barbados. And immediately the New York Times came after it and said, it was bullshit and, that's not true. The Irish were never slaves, I think was the name of the actual article.
Depends on what you mean by slave that day. Because it's like they're in the middle of their woke agenda. You can't have them, they're trying to be like anti-white people and create race war. You can't go saying, hey, we might have a lot in common with people of color who've been held in slavery and are looking for reparations.
Well, yeah, he's going to be so proud. I made the New York Times. It's like the articles,
that's awesome.
The Irish were never slaves.
Yeah, but then there's like a spiritual aspect to it where it's like, maybe they're right because if you don't accept that victim consciousness, maybe you're not a slave.
Prisoners, not slaves. It's a mental difference. Prisoner wants to escape. Slave takes it and says, this is my place. Mason Weaver is a famous speaker who talks about, his talk is called The Rope. And he's black. He went to Stanford and UCLA out in California. And then he discovered that he's not African-American. He's a human being. And he started to be an abolitionist in the late 90s. I saw his speech. So anyway, it's called The Rope. And basically when you're throwing a rope of opportunity to people, some people with the victim mentality see that you're trying to hang them. Oh, you must be trying to hang me. And the other one is like, oh, thank you. I can pull myself out if you'll hold on, not pull me into the hole with you. That's the whole idea. So it's a great 20-minute speech.
Yeah, that's why the real, old Jake Rothschild and the boys, all my patrons, those guys know how to really enslave people with victim consciousness. You get them addicted to shit. You get them to think, to identify as a slave. Because if not, there's no fencing. You can't hold people. One guy can't have 1,000 slaves. You have to get them to believe they're slaves and to identify with it and then to live out the archetypes. And that's why we're controlled by narratives, and
this is why they taught slaves to read, because literacy is a form of slavery until a method of critical thinking is practiced objectively and consistently by the reader. So people believe what they read, they're under control, and they don't have to keep chains and cages around them. They just give them public schooling.
Yeah, it's physically impossible to enslave people that don't choose to be slaves.
The Polish proved that in the Gulag Archipelago.
Yeah, exactly.
You also got to reinforce the narrative that your victimhood is the only one and that you have a monopoly on victimhood or being a slave so that you can set up in little tribes and not unite with other people around your common humanity.
You need a neologism for that to make you uniquely able to frame people about that specific racism, though.
Yeah, you guys ever see my cartoon about Pol Pot, about his genocide?